Florida is known for its incredible bass fishing opportunities, and for good reason. The state boasts an abundance of lakes, rivers, and canals that are home to some of the biggest bass in the world. If you're planning a trip to Florida for some bass fishing, here are some tips to help you make the most of your experience. 1. Know the best time to fish. One of the most important things to keep in mind when planning a bass fishing trip in Florida is the time of day. During the summer months, when water temperatures can soar into the high 80s and 90s, the best time to fish is typically early in the morning or late in the evening when the water is cooler. During the heat of the day, bass tend to move deeper into the water where it's cooler and less stressful on their bodies. 2. Choose the right bait. Florida bass are known to prefer live bait such as shiners or worms, but artificial lures such as crankbaits and spinnerbaits can also be effective. When choosing your bait, it's important to consider the water conditions, as well as the time of day. For example, if the water is clear and calm, a natural-looking bait might work better than a brightly colored one. 3. Look for structure. Bass tend to congregate around structures such as weed beds, rocks, and fallen trees. Look for areas with these features to increase your chances of catching a fish. If you're fishing in a lake, look for areas where the water depth changes quickly, as these are often good spots for bass to feed. 4. Pay attention to the weather. The weather can have a big impact on bass fishing in Florida. Bass tend to be more active on cloudy or overcast days, as the reduced sunlight makes them feel more comfortable moving around. Keep an eye on the weather forecast and plan your fishing trip accordingly. If you're planning to fish during a heat wave, for example, it might be best to plan your trip for early in the morning or late in the evening when the water is cooler. 5. Use the right equipment. Make sure you have the right equipment for bass fishing in Florida. A sturdy rod and reel, strong fishing line, and appropriate lures or bait are all essential. When it comes to fishing line, it's a good idea to use a heavier line than you would in other parts of the country, as Florida bass tend to be bigger and stronger. Braided line is also a good option, as it's more resistant to abrasions and can handle heavy cover. 6. Practice catch and release. Florida has strict regulations on bass fishing, including size and bag limits. Make sure to release any fish you catch that don't meet the regulations to help preserve the population for future generations. Catch and release is an important part of responsible fishing, and it's something that all anglers should take seriously. 7. Be patient. Fishing can require a lot of patience, so don't get discouraged if you don't catch a fish right away. Keep trying different techniques and locations until you find what works best for you. Bass can be elusive creatures, and it often takes a combination of skill, luck, and persistence to catch them. In conclusion, bass fishing in Florida can be an incredibly rewarding experience for anglers of all skill levels. By following these tips, you can increase your chances of catching a trophy fish and make the most of your time on the water. Remember to always practice responsible fishing techniques and respect the natural resources that make bass fishing in Florida so special.